Hello everyone, welcome live to 3Y TV, tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series here from the beautiful Montreal circuit, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, north of the border for tonight's inTOXIKated Gaming 120 right here on 3Y TV. I'm Peter Short, and joining me in the booth as always here for the Thornton Graphix Grand National Series is Bob Giaquinto. And Bob, beautiful road course here tonight. One of only two road courses on the schedule. The only other one going to be Watkins Glen later in the chase for the championship. But here tonight, this is probably going to be the most difficult road course these drivers face all season.
Absolutely, an FIA Grade 1 road course where Formula One comes here every single year. It's a very tight, twisty, and challenging track, but also have some very high-speed elements and, you know, a lot of different braking points here for the corners, especially as the tires get old and worn. So this is going to make some very exciting racing for tonight.
You're watching the number 99 machine of Philip Scott here. 2 minutes left in the practice session, and Philip Scott currently atop the board by 0.4 of a second over Ben Izenga. Currently in third, Lupe Gonzalez, Andrew Himmelman, and Chris Darling rounding out the top five. But that number 99 has a pretty good stranglehold right now on the top of the board in the National Ninja League Ford Mustang. And I'll tell you what, Bob, I think we're going to see some different players this week. You know, we talk about road course racing and road ringers, and this is definitely going to be one where those road ringers tend to shine.
Absolutely. I mean, talking about guys like Philip Scott not having as great of a season as we had expected with these higher horsepower cars, but Philip Scott is one heck of a road racer, and right now I feel like at this point in time he might be the favorite to win this race. A lot of people in the Total Nonstop Racing Discord have been saying that he's kind of the guy to keep an eye out on. Been doing a lot of practicing, especially on road courses. And, you know, Philip Scott right now has, you were saying, about almost half a second lead right now in practice as far as fastest laps are concerned. So, you know, he's definitely the guy to take a look at for tonight's race.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we'll jump on board with him here as he works his way through turn number 1 and 2. You're going to see a lot of these drivers riding the curb here tonight in various parts of the racetrack. And this is really one that you can attack here tonight, Bob. You know, we see here he goes into one of the slower portions of the racetrack right here, working his way through, getting that curb once again, letting it go all the way out to the wall, now into the S's. This is going to be a fun race. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you and I both agree that this is one of our favorite racetracks, not only the schedule, but favorite tracks in general. It's just a fun track where really a lot of momentum as far as you know, getting your rhythm going is concerned when it comes to this track. And just as we ride on board here with Philip Scott, that you can really see the momentum that you have to carry from corner to corner. You really have to hit your marks and nail the nail each and every apex of the corner to get as fast as possible. And, you know, man, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're about to move over into the qualifying session. As you get a look at this beautiful racetrack, all these drivers going to be out there trying to get a good lap time in for this session here that's coming up in just a moment to see who's going to start on the pole here in tonight's inTOXIKated Gaming 120 here in the Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. And it's going to be open qualifying, which is a little bit different than what we typically see in a lot of the series and lots of the sessions here, Bob.
Yeah, and that could also play a bit of a factor, you know, if you're on your hot lap trying to, you know, keep that momentum going, and the next thing you know, you pick up on another slower car who's either just coming out to start their lap or just finish their lap. So really, with as tight as this open qualifying is going to be, you know, you really have to find your space and be able to get somewhere around a driver of your lap speed just to, you know, have some space out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, and you see Chris Darling there flashing by the number 99 of Philip Scott. Now, Philip Scott's doing a little bit of a strategy here, folks. Doing what I like to call creeping around the racetrack. He's not trying to overheat those tires because the tires have a lot of grip when they're really cold. And you can just kind of see him gingerly walking his way around the racetrack. Same thing with Mike Floppy Tellier a little bit further back in the number 97 machine right there. Mr. inTOXIKated Gaming himself, sporting that inTOXIKated Gaming livery on his Toyota Supra here tonight. number 97. We'll keep an eye on him when these times start to come in just a little bit, but that's definitely a very good-looking race car out there tonight. Hello to the people we got going on in the chat. We got Tana Himmelman in the chat, Logie Bear as well, saying don't crash into the wall of champions. And speaking of the wall of champions, there it is as Ben Izenga flashes by. Of course, this corner dubbed the wall of champions after catching out quite a few Formula One world champions. And I think we saw Michael Schumacher crash there, among many others. I think Mika Hakkinen might have had a moment in that wall. We'll see if Philip Scott has a moment with the wall. Yes, he does. Looks like he might have just caught that barrier right there on exit of the corner. Hopefully we don't see all too much of that here tonight. Chris Darling, first driver to put in a qualifying time. Now that lap time will not hold because that has a good portion of his lap actually on pit road. So 1 minute 57 is not very fast around this racetrack here tonight, Bob. But I do believe we have lined up our drivers here for the Shibby Shack Dash for Cash. So tell the fans watching at home who's going for the money tonight.
We do. So going for the money tonight, the commish himself, flashbacks of Robbie Gordon here in the Nationwide Series. The 7 of Garrett Gleason going to be competing for the Shibby Shack Dash for Cash. As I'm sure a lot of you know, the history that Robbie has here at this track, and Garrett definitely looking forward to, to make amends for the issues that Robbie has had here previously in the Nationwide Series. Another driver here for the Dash for Cash is going to be Steven Doziak, as well as the winner of Daytona, Steve Kegman, here for the Shibby Shack Dash for Cash. So those 3 drivers tonight will be going head to head to try to eke out a little race within the race to try to get themselves a couple extra bucks in iRacing dollars here. As Jason Freeman goes around there in the S's, but so far no harm, no foul. Obviously qualifying 6 and change minutes left here in the session for him to go back out there and get a decent lap up there on the board.
Yeah, let's see what happened here to Jason Freeman. Just locked up the rear, spun it around, and he was able to get it turned back around. There goes Bill Edwards scooting on through in the S2R machine. There goes Philip Scott as well as Tristan Maher. I mean, almost contact there, but that's going to really invalidate Jason Freeman's lap. And that's one thing we got to watch out for, folks, is these drivers going off track. Because if you go off track just a little bit, you get what's called a 1X. Even if you get a 0X, which is just slight contact with the wall, you get your lap time invalidated. So you can't hit the wall, you can't go off track, you can hit the curbs, but you can't overstep your bounds, because if so, iRacing will disqualify your lap time. And right now, we only have 4 drivers on the board, and this man right here, currently the fastest with a 142.771.
Yeah, quick lap there by the 4 of Andrew Himmelman. And Peter, that's one of those things where getting that 1X penalty, especially later in a run and in that lap, really is just a killer, because you have all your momentum saved up. You're on a great lap, and then all of a sudden you just overdrive the corner by even just a hair. You get that 1X penalty, and it completely disallows your entire lap. So precision as well as speed is going to be a big factor here in this qualifying session.
Andrew Immelman working his way out of the final corner. We'll see if he can improve on that 142.771. Tristan Maher going to put in a 155. Jason Gracias a 150.98. Andrew Himmelman on lap number 2 going to improve his lap time. That's not going to do it, though, because that looks like he just went off the racetrack right there. But, hello, that's the number 41 of Tony Lucarelli right in front of Andrew Himmelman. But just like that, Himmelman's going to reset and try and do it again. But as of right now, fantastic job for the number 4 of Himmelman. Fastest here in qualifying with just over 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, 142.43 is blazing fast. But look at that, James Lorello coming into tonight's race had mentioned that there's a chance he may not even be here for tonight's race because he didn't have the track. Now he's got the track, and look at that, he's already up to 2nd place right now on the qualifying board with just under 4 minutes left to go as we take a look here with Bill Edwards as he dives off down into the corner.
Whoa, that's a big moment for that number 50 machine, and that is the Wall of Champions. And ironically, here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, Bill Edwards is a champion of one of the series. We'll see if we can go and see exactly what happened here on board with the number 50. Of course, he is the reigning champion of the Stadium Truck Series. Goes into the final corner, pushes it too far, hits that curb, and bam, into the wall of champions. He's going to have to reset and do it all over again in that number 50 because he will be trying to get another lap time in if he can. Now, here's the thing about this open qualifying session, Bob, is that when the checkered flag falls, if you're still on a hot lap, you can continue to complete that lap. You actually get about a 1.5 minute cooldown after you've hit the stripe for the session to actually end. So when you see the checkered flag fall up there in the top left-hand corner, everyone still on the racetrack will still be on a hot lap until they hit the start-finish line and actually receive the checkered flag. Here's Andrew Himmelman, fastest here in the qualifying session, gonna hit the stripe. 2.5 minutes left in qualifying, so we know he has about 2 more laps to put up. What can he do? Can he improve on that 142.43? But so far, so good here for the SimShots driver.
Yeah, and I mean, so far so good. A brand new paint scheme for that number 4 machine is, James Lorello goes off into the grass there. He's just put up a little bit quicker of a second lap, or second fastest qualifying lap, as now we're watching Bill Edwards here get off and get ready to, I believe, come through the final turns here to get ready to start his last, or what could be his last qualifying lap.
Yeah, Edwards hustling there through the final chicane, looking at the time. He might get 2 laps in because he hit it with 1 minute 45 left. If he's able to hit his 1 minute 44, he will just hit the start-finish line with about a second or 2 to spare right at the end of the session. So we'll keep an eye on that. Chris Darling there in the number 70. He's working his way down into the hairpin for the penultimate time. And this is a really sharp corner. We're probably going to see some issue here tonight out of someone lock him up here into the corner. In fact, Dave Harvey there in the 77 working his way through. Currently sitting 6th place on the board, working his way up out of that final corner. Let's see if we can go on board here for a full lap and just kind of talk you through on board with the number 77 of Harvey. As you'll see, those lap times start to come in. Vincent Valvano sitting in 12th. Jason Freeman was able to recover to go 11th, but as I say that, I think Tony Lucarelli in the number 41 was able to get a lap time in. This is the final corner. This is the wall of champions that we talked about right there on the right-hand side. If you hit those curbs too hard, you will be thrown up into that wall of champions. That's what we saw with the number 50 just a little while ago of Bill Edwards. Now on board with Harvey. Man, he's struggling to get those rear brakes to get the car slowed down. Now through turn number 1 and 2. Really, really slow here through turn number 2, but up through the gears once again. You usually hit, I think, 3rd gear, maybe just 4th gear before you get back on the brakes here to get through this little S section. You want to hit those curbs as much as you can. Straighten up the corner there. You see Harvey really having a flick of the wheel. And to keep that car going straight, you want to keep it tucked up inside here before you get into this braking zone to open up the apex here into these S's. There you see Tristan Maher in the number 98 machine. He definitely had a moment. Harvey almost having a moment himself there coming out of the corner onto this back straight here up through the gears once again. Checkered flag has come out. Andrew Himmelman still sitting atop the board with the 142.43. Harvey going down into this S's for the final time, getting that left front up just a little bit. Philip Scott in the number 99 machine, second on the board. He just jumped up behind Andrew Himmelman with a 143.1 or thereabouts. As we go into the final hairpin for the final time on board with the number 77. Let's see if we got any other drivers coming to the start-finish line here to complete their lap. So far, no one, as the checkered flag has been thrown. I'll see who will be the next one to the line. Will it be that 77 machine? We thought possibly the number 50 might have gotten an extra lap. There's Dave Harvey there on the right-hand side of your screen, working his way into the final corner. Going to come onto the front straightaway. Can he improve on the 7th position in the number 77 machine? This is a very interesting qualifying session here. Goes across the stripe. Any improvement out of the 77? Yes! Second on the board for Harvey on his final lap, a 142.752. Just coming in clutch there, Bob.
Wow, that was a fantastic lap. And, we saw how much of a struggle Harvey was having with his car, especially through turns 2 through maybe 4 or so. just trying to get the grip on the tires, the brakes to actually slow the car down without spinning out, and just a great job fighting and battling not only the car but the racetrack as well to get him up to that second position.
And unfortunately, the car that we were following actually just left the racetrack as we were watching those other cars come across the start-finish line. One was the 13 of Lorello. He's going to jump into fourth. I think Ben Izenga is the only other car out there on the racetrack right now. In fact, not seeing any cars at speed. So Andrew Himmelman will be picking up the pole here tonight at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. As you see a little bit of blue sky underneath the racetrack. Yep, that's what's down there. People say it's dirt. It's not true. It's actually blue sky. But definitely going to be an interesting one here in just a little bit. As you see, we got about 14 seconds left before they move over into the race setup and start gridding. But I'll tell you what, Bob, it's going to be an interesting race. As you can see just how interesting this racetrack is from the air, nestled on an island right there in Montreal. In fact, what you're seeing down there at the bottom of your screen is so straight. That's actually where they had rowing in the Olympics once upon a time. So this is a really cool place to not only visit, but see from the air.
Yeah, just a beautiful track, and definitely one place I'd love to go on my bucket list, I guess you could say, just to go out there and visit not only most parts of Canada, but especially Montreal and this racetrack. Just an absolutely picturesque place, and would be fantastic to go there and see a race sometime.
You see all of the cars here down on the grid. You can see that Andrew Himmelman in the number 4 machine has already presented the SimShot Ford Mustang. I'm sure he'll be super stoked to be starting from P1 in this race, and to his outside, David Harvey in the number 77. We've seen some good runs out of that 77, Bob.
Yeah, for sure. Some great runs, mired back with some connection issues last season.
On row number 2, Philip Scott, James Lorello. Behind them, number 50 of Bill Edwards and Chris Darling. Behind them, Ben Izenga in the number 98 machine. There they are. Those two cars. Mayer finally able to get a lap time in, finishing that qualifying session in 8th. Jason Gracias, Tony Lucarelli there rounding out your top 10. Stephen Kegman, Jason Freeman. Going to be interesting to see Freeman come from way back in the pack, starting in 12th. Vincent Valvano, Lupe Gonzalez on row number 7. Row number 8, Chris Stewart, Garrett Gleason. Brian Rubel, Jason Shu, Steve Reda, DeMarco Starks on row number 10. Mike Floppy Tellier, the Canadian driver, going to have to come from way back in the pack here in his home race, with Steven Doziak rounding out your field here tonight. But we're going to have a little bit of a condensed run up for the start here in this one, because as you can see, we are already on the back straight on the run up to the final chicane, and they won't need to do a full lap like we typically see here, Bob. They just kind of roll into that final chicane and the green flag will drop.
Yeah, such a large racetrack here. Going to be starting just coming out of that hairpin all the way down this back straightaway before the chicane. So I'm ready to get these guys underway.
All of the cars now rolling down. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how many are taking the start here. We have a couple of drivers who have pulled off the racetrack, and even though they were in the practice session, they are not presenting their car for the race. And I think one of those is actually Steven Doziak, who is one of our Shibby Shack Dash for Cash drivers. So maybe we can figure out a replacement for him as they work their way through the final chicane here to get the green flag. And folks, when we talk about green flags here, we're not going to see a yellow, hopefully, unless there's a big accident. No yellows, unlike last week where we saw a bunch of them. 45 laps around Montreal, and we're green flag, green flag. Himmelman leads them off into turn number 1.
And a great start there by Himmelman. But look, here's the 77 of Dave Harvey looking to the inside of Philip Scott, and a great job by this whole field, able to come out of turns 1 and 2 fairly clean as the field comes down the side straightaway, heading off towards turn number 3 and 4.
Yeah, they worked their way through 3 and 4. Tristan Maher going well wide. Kegman going well wide in the number 22 machine. And back up at the front, ooh, man, Philip Scott there jumping out in the number 99. Looked like he might have had a run on Harvey, but they sort things out, and we are good to go here at Montreal as they now run down up into, I believe, what is turn number 8 or 9 here. at Montreal. These corners go by very, very quickly. There's Himmelman, your race leader. Harvey in second. Scott in third. Fourth, Lorello in fifth. Chris Darling.
And just going back to that camera shot where all the cars coming across, nailing the curb there, watching the body bounce up with those tires staying firmly planted into the ground. This is going to be a tough race on that suspension if you're going to hit those marks every single time. You'd better hope that these teams all have some pretty strong suspension components in these cars as this race goes on.
Philip Scott in the number 99 machine, the man who was fastest in the practice session that we had, just got around David Harvey. He now is up into second in the National Ninja League Ford Mustang. Going over those curbs. Andrew Himmelman in the number 4, the 99. They're almost getting into the wall of champions here as we click off lap number 1 in the books. Biggest mover of the race so far, the number 97 machine. There he is. Mike Floppy Tellier, 8 positions already gained from the start of the race.
Yeah, didn't post a qualifying time, though we did see him out there in the qualifying session. So the 99 of Philip Scott gets sent around, and let's see where he's going to be rejoining the field. But, man, a tough break here on lap number 2.
Yeah, just got into a little bit of a wiggle there in the number 99, locks up the rear tires, and you see all those positions that he started to lose. Finally gets things sorted going back in the right direction, but that is not good for the National Ninja League. Number 99, going to drop him all the way down to 11th. So a lot of work left to do for Philip Scott right in front of the number 1 there of Jason Gracias. And Gracias has a little bit of a damage on that Max Graphics machine. Let's see if we can figure out exactly what happened to the number 1. Because, whoa, as I say that, we have another car around live. There's Mike Tellier. Let's see if we can figure out what happened to Mike.
Man, car's just spinning all over here as Tellier goes a little bit wide coming through the S's. Coming out of the corner there, and just lost it. Lost control, got a little bit too gas happy as he spun the back tires around and nosed it into the wall.
Yeah, so let's see if we can go back and also figure out what happened to the number 1 of Jason Gracias, whether it was on the start of the race or not. In fact, we're getting reports that it was not. It was going off into turn number 1. Let's see what's happened here. So there's the number 99 that's gone around. Did another car go? Oh, the 50 might have got a little bit of help there. And boink, Jason Gracias, and might have got a little bit of tap from behind. That is not good for your reigning champion of the series. Kegman ran wide as well. So a very eventful start to the race. Also getting word that something might have happened to the number 20 machine. That is the Mason-Dixon Cornhole Chevy Camaro. We'll see if we can figure out what happened to him. This happened at the very start of the race, we're getting told. And so far, not good for Jason Freeman or Jason Gracias here tonight. This was working their way on lap number 1 into this left-hander here, and we'll see exactly what happened. Whoa, just right in front of the number 97 machine of Tellier. Just went around like that, and currently being scored down in 15th. Meanwhile, up at the front, Andrew Himmelman is leading the race. And what's happened to David Harvey in the number 77 machine? He's had trouble because now he's dropped back to 6th.
Yeah, just a tough break there. Looks like the 77 might have gone around possibly around the same time or at least just after Philip Scott had gone around. So just a lot of issues. These Xfinity cars have a lot of power as, just got a little bit too gas happy, went back up on the racetrack and just nosed it into the wall there. But, and he almost lost it a second time as well. These Xfinity cars have a lot of horsepower, and it is very easy under those slow speeds to really get too much gas under it and turn your car around. So, these cars are so tough to drive, and you can just see it out there as these cars are getting a little sideways coming off the turns.
And I'll tell you what, 42 laps to go, only 3 laps in the books, and the number 4 of Andrew Himmelman leading right now by just under 1 second. James Lorello has had a very impressive start to the race here, Bob. Started in the 4th position, now running in 2nd and trying to run down Andrew Himmelman as something has happened to the number 38 machine of Vincent Valvano. I possibly think, not 100% sure. We'll see if we can dial that up. I saw something happening with the live timing and scoring, and I wasn't 100% sure if he'd gone around or something like that. Here we go. Number 38 of Alvano getting off into turn number 1. Yeah, just locked up, lost the rear tires, and a couple of cars were able to scoot on by. So he lost a couple of positions, but that's not the end of the world. He's now going to come under fire from the number 99 of Philip Scott. And I'll tell you what, Bob, Philip Scott now 17.8 seconds behind the race lead in Andrew Himmelman. Something else must have happened to that number 99 as he tries to go for the 10th position right here.
Yeah, and a tough break there. Luckily for him, there is going to be one caution, I believe, coming up for the stage break at the conclusion of lap number 10. But aside from that, unless there's a big wreck where a lot of the track is blocked, we're not going to see any caution flags here tonight. So every position is going to matter, especially coming up just before the stage break here in a matter of laps.
So those two cars battle for position. Looks like Philip Scott's going to take the spot there as you see all these cars now work their way through the wall of champions. Oh my goodness, was that the number 50? I think it was back there getting way up over the curbs. Your race leader's now heading off into turn number 1. 4 laps down, working lap number 5. Chris Darling in the number 70 machine has worked his way up into third here in the early running. There is a couple of drivers that are a little bit worse for wear here in the early running, having their own incidents with the number 50 there of Bill Edwards. And whoa, man, Tristan Mayer getting slideways there through turn number 2.
Yeah, and again, it's just a matter of having a little bit too much gas under the car, the back end wanting to kick around and just, like you said, get slideways. But a great job by both Tristan and Bill to corral their cars and keep it going the right way. Looks like the one has a little bit more damage as they head through that tight section of the racetrack.
Yeah, we'll dial up this replay for everyone back home. Jason Gracias going into turn number 1 here. Makes it through nice and neatly, running right behind 41 of Tony Lucarelli. But this is about where it all goes south. Just loses the rear tires, goes for a spin with a little bit of help from the Napa sign. I'll tell you what, looks like that car needs a trip to Napa after this night because that is a lot of damage. As you can see, it looks a little bit like a modified there, Bob.
Yeah, just driving them and one of the SK modifieds out there with the rest of these Xfinity cars shouldn't be too much trouble out there for him. No, but all things considered, it's a really tough break there for the one of Jason Gracias here as we see a bit of a battle. Here's the 3 of Rada just gets a little bit sideways going through this almost stadium-like portion of the racetrack there.
Oh, and something's happened to our race leader, Andrew Himmelman. He's had a moment. He's going to lose a ton of positions here. He's dropped all the way back to fourth position, and something's also happened to the number 40 of Jason Shu. Let's see if we can figure out what happened to our former race leader in the number 4 machine. Going into the final corner here, we'll see if we can figure out hits. Just gets. Oh man, looks like he just overshot the entry there, and the number 13 of Lorello was able to scoot on by. The good news for the number 4 of Himmelman, doesn't look like any damage on that race car, so he'll just have to reset, get things back rolling. But at least for right now, your pole sitter slid back into the 5th position, 8.5 seconds behind your new race leader, James Lorello, who is being caught here by Ben Izenga in the number 17.
This is definitely going to be a battle. Last week's winner, Ben Izenga, pretty much dominated the race at Myrtle Beach, so it's going to be an interesting battle to see how Izenga can get around Lorello, because don't forget, we had mentioned in the beginning of this broadcast, James Lorello, this is his first time being out there on the track. He didn't have the track coming into tonight's race and had even mentioned that there's a possibility of him maybe needing a provisionals. The 17 of Izenga gets a little squirrely coming out of the chicane there. But, Lorello said, hey, there's a chance I may not even be here for this race, and here he is now leading, and after having a really good qualifying effort too.
Leaders working their way into the final corner to complete lap number 6. Izenga trying to close in on your race leader. There's David Harvey, Tristan Maher. There is Andrew Himmelman. Is he able to scoot through this time? He barely made it through. Looks like he struggled again to get that car woed up. We'll watch the rest of the field here work their way through the wall of champions. There's Tony Lucarelli in the 41 doing a great job of keeping his car nice and clean. And that was going to be one of the things here tonight that really these drivers have to be concerned about. This is, for all intensive purposes, a little bit of a endurance race because of the fact that these drivers, it's 45 laps. You got to keep your car clean. You got to minimize those mistakes. And we're already seeing some mistakes out of some really fast drivers, like Philip Scott. We know he has the pace. Just got caught out a little bit, went around. Now he's back there in the 9th position, 20 seconds behind the race leader. Now he's going to have that one caution, like you mentioned, at the stage break, Bob. But in that last run to the checkered flag, you got to minimize those mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. You have to capitalize on others' mistakes, but while minimizing your own. Luckily for guys like Philip Scott and Andrew Himmelman, their incidents that they've had are at the beginning of the race, so they have so much more time to try to pick up that lost time. And as we say this, the 13 of Lorello gets sideways, allowing the 17 of Ben Izinga to come up on the inside, and he's going to take the lead as they come down this backstretch.
Ben Izinga in that number 17. He started the race in 7th, now has gained 6 positions in the first 7 laps or so. So that's really impressive for Ben Izinga in the NOS Energy Drink Toyota Supra. And like you mentioned, Bob dominated last week at Myrtle Beach. Really, no one could touch him. And remember, he's one of those Canadian drivers as well, so he wants to win on home soil. We had 3 Canadian drivers on the entry list here tonight with Ben Izinga, Mike Floppy Tellier, and Chris Stewart. Stewart not on the racetrack as of right now. So that number 49 is not out there on the racetrack. Very unfortunate, but for right now, Ben Izinga is your race leader over James Lorello. And I'm watching live timing and scoring. Philip Scott in the 99, fastest car on the racetrack that last time by. We'll see if he, as I say that, he's overshot turn number 1 again. And we've already seen that once tonight out of that number 99, as you see the number 70 of Chris Darling. Darling must have had a moment as well in the number 70 machine, because remember, he was up there in the 3rd position. Now he slid back to 7th.
Yeah, just again, a tough break here where some fantastic and fast drivers just getting caught a little bit out of their comfort zone. I know road courses, especially with these Xfinity cars, are much tighter and harder to control the cars and to handle the cars. So it's just crazy to me to see this many mistakes from these front drivers.
Yeah, we're also getting word that Tony Lucarelli in the number 41 machine also might have had a moment going into, I believe, the final complex. We'll see if that's the case or not. Yeah, it went just too far over, and that might have given him a slowdown penalty as well. Sometimes if you go over those curbs a little bit too much, iRacing says, you know what, you cut the course, you're going to have to give up that time that you picked up by cutting the course just a little bit. And so last time by, we saw a very slow lap out of Lucarelli as the number 17 of Izinga continues here to lead. In fact, he's closing in on the number 3 machine of Steve Rada, and Rada's had more trouble. He is looking a little bit like the number 1 of Jason Gracias now, missing the front bumper of that car, hoping to see the caution flag here relatively quickly, as he is in danger of falling 1 lap down, currently being scored 16th.
Yeah, for sure. And just the pressure right now on the 3 of Steve Ray to say, you know what, I've had a pretty tough go at it so far in this race. The last thing I want to do is have my own trouble and involve the leaders in that trouble. And I'd be sitting on the mic right there saying, all right, leader, go ahead, go around me here in this corner. I'll let you have plenty of room. And that's exactly what he did, letting the 17 of Izinga go around. And he's going to let Lorello and Harvey get around him as well, as he had plenty of room here on the offshoot of those turns.
Now, really, all he has to do is wait 2 more laps, Bob, until he will presumably receive the lucky dog to get back onto the lead lap. Assuming we will have a lucky dog in the 1 and only caution. What's happened to the number 1 machine? Your reigning series champion. He's had another big moment. There's Jason Shue. He's a couple laps down in the number 40, but your reigning champion has had another issue here going into the hairpin, getting that car woed up and just couldn't get it woed up enough. Goes for a spin around, and you can see pointing in the wrong direction there. So that's a tough break for your reigning series champion. He will have to head on off into the final chicane once again. And now onto the front stretch, trying to get that number 1 machine. And somehow, some way, Bob, he's picked up a front bumper. Not sure if he's been to pit road and had some damage repaired or something, but he must have got out the car, picked up a front bumper, attached it back to the car, because last time we saw him, it didn't have a front bumper.
You know, I will say that is mighty impressive. There's got to be some magnets or something like that holding that front bumper on. Just must have gone by the next lap later and magically picked it back up, and he's ready to go.
The number 4 machine of Andrew Himmelman, he's had a moment. He's stopped out there on the racetrack in the 5th position. Your pole sitter here tonight. He gets it back rolling here coming out of turn number 1. And Bob, what I'm seeing here tonight is not a significant amount of fall off time-wise, but these drivers with them slip sliding around, I expect to see everyone on pit road here when this caution flag flies, assuming they have enough tires. If they have 2 sets of tires, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see the kind of a 2-stop strategy. I'm sure some drivers are going to try a 1-stop strategy. It's really going to be interesting to see exactly how this plays out tonight. Meanwhile, one driver who was having a good run, the 99 of Philip Scott and Chris Darling, both of those drivers have elected to pit. Speaking of pit strategy, because the caution flag is going to come out here very, very shortly, those drivers are going to take on tires and presumably will cycle through to the race lead once all the leaders pit under caution.
You know, it just some incredibly smart pit strategy right there. You know that caution is going to be coming out within a lap or so. Why not head down pit road now? These laps are long enough where 4 tires stop, and maybe fixing any of that cosmetic damage that you may have isn't going to put you a lap down. So you have plenty of time to get out there on pit road, get everything fixed up, get you some fresh tires, just cruise around under caution and inherit a much better starting position than you would have had you stayed out on the racetrack until the yellow comes out. So great heads-up play there by the 99 and the 70 here, as the yellow flag will now come out as the stage caution will be thrown.
Yeah, and also I think that's the number 50. Was that a car that was stopped back there? Was that the number 50 machine? I'm not 100% sure. Let's see if we can go back and see whether or not I just saw the number 50 parked in the final corner. I thought I saw a car back there, but I could be completely mistaken. I think I was completely mistaken. That was getting tricked by iRacing. But nonetheless, we are under the one and only stage caution. So all these drivers will get reset, folks. And hopefully this will be the only caution flag that we see here tonight. We saw a lot of caution flags last week at Myrtle Beach. So hopefully this race will only have 1 caution, and that will kind of balance things out over the last 2 weeks. I think we also did see maybe the 7 machine of Garrett Gleason. No, I think we saw someone else fall a lap down. Nope, not sure who. I'm seeing stuff. I'm seeing ghosts or something out there on the racetrack. I don't know. Maybe I should get my eyes checked or something. That's who it was. It was Tristan Maher in the number 98 machine who had snuck himself up into 4th position. Good job there by Maher. Didn't have a great qualifying run in 8th position, but he's up there into 4th position, solidly inside the top 5.
Yeah, great run by him. And he's another one of those drivers who's had a fairly quiet and when he has been talked about, it was because of Rex. Just a fairly quiet season so far. Currently, right now, taking a look at the point standings, that 98 machine is down in 29th place with an average start of 10th, but an average finish of 25th. So a tough season right now for the 98 of Tristan Maher, and this is definitely something to really get up there and boost the confidence of that 98 machine.
Whoa, Lorello, he just overcooked it under caution. You don't see that very often, as all of your leaders will, at some point here, catch up to the back of the iRacing Porsche safety car. The leader working his way now through the yeses. And chat, what are you thinking of this race so far? We're 10 laps in, 34 laps to go as of right now. Actually, 11 laps in, 34 laps to go. What are you thinking of a little bit of road course action? We got Ben Mashburn in the chat rooting on the number 4 of Andrew Himmelman, as well as the number 70 of Chris Darling. I know Tana Himmelman is hoping to see Andrew Himmelman get some of those spots back after starting on the pole. RC Plane saying, oh, this is a big brain move. Yeah, those big brain moves that come onto pit road. It's going to be fun to see exactly how that all works out here once all these leaders come down pit road. Will we see the 99 and the 71-2 when the green flag drops here shortly?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, unless we missed a couple other guys coming down pit road, which is entirely possible, there's a fairly decent chance that we'll see our number 1 and number 2 starters right here in the number 1 and the 70 of Chris Darling, also driving the inTOXIKated Gaming Toyota Supra right now.
The one thing about Chris Darling, though, is he's working his way into turn number 3 right now. Ben Izenga is on the front stretch. So Darling's going to have to really hustle his car around. Same thing with the number 99 of Philip Scott. They're really going to have to hustle here to make good use of this caution to get up to the front, because it is a fairly short pit road here with a pretty short pit road delta time. So we'll check back in on the number 70 machine. There he is. I think he'll be okay. I think Darling will get out in front. There's the number 99 though of Philip Scott, as Jason Freeman continues to struggle here under yellow. Philip Scott, though, it might not work out for him because he's well behind Chris Darling. As your race leaders, they are all headed onto pit road right now, snaking their way to their pit box. There's the Porsche safety car there on the left-hand side of your screen. Tony Lucarelli in the 41 machine. He's going off strategy. There he is. He's going to stay out and lead a lap.
Very interesting to see that. There are no bonus points for leading a lap or anything like that, so I'm curious to see what Lucarelli's strategy is going to be here as we see the leaders finally getting into their pit stalls as the 98 able to make it in. And unfortunately, no Chris Darling kazoo for this round of yellow flag pit stops, as Chris had already made his pit stop here under green. And here comes the 70 of Darling coming down the front straightaway. Let's see if he's going to be able to beat the leaders as they get off of pit road.
Yeah, and there is the 70 of Darling, and here comes Izenga in the number 17. Now, this does not look like it's going to work out for Philip Scott at all. Philip Scott there just now hustling his way down the front straightaway, so he's going to have older tires, and he's going to be mired well back in the pack. In fact, I'm surprised because it seems like he's going to be further back than I would have expected him to be with all things considered. But there is Tony Lucarelli in the number 41 machine. Meanwhile, Steve Rada in the number 3, I believe he will be the lucky dog, assuming he gets waved past the pace car here. Yes, he will. But Rada's really going to have to hustle here, Bob, because if he wants to come down pit... Woo, 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 woo.
Oh, man.
He's having problems in that number 3 machine. Is he upset with Tony Lucarelli? He looked like he was brake check. He still looks like he might be brake checking. I'm not sure what's going on here with Steve Rada in the number 3 machine. I think he's expecting to get the wave around, and maybe he's mad at the safety car driver for not giving him that free pass.
Wow, that is certainly interesting here. I don't even know what that one was about. I don't know if he initially got in there too hot, was going for the wave around, but usually the wave around will come up as they're getting ready to get the one to go, and man, I would love to know what happened there.
You see him here, slams on the brake, locks him up. And there's the 41 machine, says, hello, Tony. And then right here just kind of puts on the brakes again. Lucarelli well able to figure out what's going on there. So we'll see if Rada gets the lucky dog here or not as they work their way down. Looks like they have finally given him the free pass, but that took a long time for iRacing to give him it. And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he can even come down pit road under this caution, as I expect the pace car lights here to be extinguished in just about 10 seconds or so. You see the whole field now working down the front stretch. As Lucarelli on old tires, I'm really surprised he stayed out. Now, let me look at my live timing scoring. Yeah, Tony Lucarelli has yet to come down pit road in the race, so I thought maybe he had pulled the same strategy as like the number 70 of Chris Darling, but can confirm that is not the case for the number 41 machine. He is on 14-lap old tires. It'll be 15-lap old tires when we go, 14-lap old tires when we go back green here in just one lap, as the pace car lights have indeed extinguished.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this move by the 41 of Lucarelli. some older tire, the oldest tires really in the field right now. And I'm sure he's just going to be nursing it until the rest of the field is able to get the green flag or to come down pit road again. But man, I don't know about this pit strategy here.
Yeah, maybe he's expecting another caution. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Let's see how many tires. I'm gonna go look at the race information here tonight to see how many. They do have two sets of tires. So maybe Lucarelli's thinking there's only one set of tires on pit road. Not sure, but we do know that he could have come down and taken on tires if he wanted them, because he would have another 15 or so laps until he could get his final set of tires. So not 100% sure what is going through Tony Lucarelli's head here, but it looks like the caution flag has come out again, so it has been extended, this caution period. In fact, let's see if we can figure out exactly what Tony Lucarelli is thinking about. Let's see if we can drag him up here into the 3-wide TV booth. Tony Lucarelli, Peter Short here with the 3-wide TV booth. Gonna be interesting. You're on old tires. Tell us about what's going through your head.
Well, I was gonna do. I was thinking I can make it on 2 stops for fuel, but with the delayed green, I think everybody's going to be pretty close to being able to do 2 stops. So we'll see what happens.
It's gonna be interesting to see how that all works out. So you're basically thinking, go 1 or 2 laps under green, come down pit road. That will get you inside your window, and then everyone else will, kind of the tables will turn. You'll have fresh tires, be able to catch people down. In fact, we're seeing right now the number 17 machine. I think he's thinking about that strategy. He's coming down pit road right now, going to come top them off. So you could be in a pretty good position if Izenga has trouble making it to the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. We'll see. Well, yeah, we'll just have to see what happens when I play it out.
All right, well, we'll let you get back to it. Pace car lights are off. Best of luck there, Tony. So you heard it right there, Bob. Fuel strategy on that number 41 machine. So not thinking about tires. We were all saying tires, but he's thinking about the long game and fuel already. And I can't blame him. That is a very good move.
For sure. I mean, right now he's one of a fairly decent amount of cars that doesn't have any damage, hasn't really had any off-track excursions or anything like that as well. So hey, who knows? Maybe this was the right move, just to save enough fuel and try to do it on 2 stops from here.
So Tony Lucarelli will lead us back to green here in now hopefully under a lap. I think the field was finally able to get, well, I was thinking maybe they threw that extra lap of caution for Steve Rada in the number 3 machine, but he's still hustling to get back to the back of the field, working his way down the backstretch. The field, meanwhile, on the opposite side of the racetrack, so Rada's got a lot of work to do if he wants to join the back end of this train, where you see all of your race leaders headed their way towards the hairpin for what will hopefully be the final time under caution flag. It will be a 30-lap shootout here at Montreal, Bob, and hopefully no more cautions at the end, like I said. And it becomes a little bit of an endurance race at this point.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about saving your stuff, saving fuel, saving tires, heck, even saving the car itself, getting off track and, possibly losing control. As long as you save it and try not to get into any other cars out there, we should be staying green and just, save your stuff. And hopefully we'll be able to stay green till the end. And hopefully we'll see the car in victory lane at the end of the day.
Yeah, we just have to figure out who exactly that is going to be. You see the field starting to double up here before the final chicane in the Wall of Champions. Going to be fun to see these cars go side by side in just a second. But Bob Lucarelli's going to have to be concerned about wheel spin on this restart, especially with all these cars right behind him on fresh tires. And what about Ben Izenga, who was your leader before this one and only caution flag? He's going to be well back in the pack thinking about fuel strategy. It's going to be a fun one here on 3-Wide TV. Don't go anywhere because we're back to green flag action as Tony Lucarelli's on the loud pedal. He's going to try and get the jump off into turn number 1, but good restart for the number 70 of Darling.
Yeah, great start there by the 70 of Darling, and the 41 jumps in front of the 70 as they get a little bit sideways coming here through turns 1 and 2. Everything clear there. The 48, the 4 and the 98 side by side here coming out of turn number 2, tight, but it looks like everyone got out of turns 1 and 2 cleanly as they head down the side chute through the S's of turns 3 and 4. And man, what fantastic camera shots here as the 38 gets sideways, gets into that wall, and he's able to keep things going right here.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can get a look at what exactly happened to Vincent Valvano here. Ben Izenga right there. Oh, just kind of turns down right across the nose of that number 17 machine and gets into the wall. But good news, it doesn't look like a whole lot of damage. He will get back going. Currently, Tony Lucarelli is still your race leader. We thought that maybe those old tires would work against him. Meanwhile, they're stacking him up behind him with the number 13. It's a little bit of a truly train if you're a Formula One fan. And meanwhile, the number 4. Oh no, Andrew Immelman, the number 4 machine. What has happened to your pole sitter here?
Let's see here on the replay. Let's get a look at what had exactly happened there.
Running
side by side there with Scott.
Whoa, okay, maybe connection issues. Kind of goes into, that's connection issues for the number 99, number 4 machine, excuse me. Is he back? He's not out there on the racetrack. He might have fallen out of the session. That is absolute heartbreak for the man who started on the pole here tonight. Was very, very quick. As Chris Darling's going to take number 77 there of Harvey jumping over those curbs. But we are getting word that the number 41 of Tony Lucarelli, there he is coming down pit road like he said he would, thinking about fuel strategy, trying to get that track position to come down pit road. We know this will get him in his window for just one more stop here tonight.
Yeah, smart series of moves there by the 41, able to save enough fuel and have a 2-stop strategy here as he hits pit road. But meanwhile, out there on the racetrack now, the 70 of Chris Darling is going to inherit the lead, and he's looking to take off. He's got about a second gap between him and the second place driver of Dave Harvey. Harvey has a moment, and that'll open up the door for the 98 of Tristan Maher to poke his nose in, go sideways. Oh, that is tight, as Maher looks to have an advantage as the 77 gets a little squiggly coming out of those corners.
Yeah, and that's going to open up the door for the number 13 of Lorello. And here comes the number 99 of Philip Scott, trying to have a little bit of a comeback story in that National Ninja League Ford Mustang. Backs out of it, but Harvey goes off track. That might give Harvey a little bit of a slowdown. I think it does. You see him just check the brakes a little bit. That's going to open the door for Izenga. Harvey here really starting to slide back as Izenga now. We think that he might be in that window where he could just make it on one more stop. Not sure about the rest of the field here. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out as Bill Edwards trying to make a move now on the 77.
Lots of action here all over the racetrack. Some fantastic battles. And, so far, knock on wood, haven't been too many incidents as far as spins or anything like that are concerned here. Now that the drivers have a few laps under their belts, a little bit more momentum on their side, and at this point, it's just a matter of kind of, hitting their marks, so to speak, and not so much trying to figure out where their marks are and finding the braking zones as well. As we take a look here at the 3 of Steve Rada, getting a little squirrely yet again, almost able to keep it off the wall, and goes into a little bit of a tank slapper there.
Yeah, and I'm getting word that looks like the number 3 has peeled off the racetrack. So, tough night for Steve Rada. Meanwhile, this is the battle for the race lead as the number 98 of Tristan Maher are going to go side by side. Contact between the 70 and the 98. They're working their way through one of the tightest portions of the racetrack. And it looks like Tristan Maher's got himself up to the front, but he runs wide. Almost contact between the 70 and the 98. Boy, that was tight, but Tristan Maher now going to have his shot at the front of the field. We've had a couple of different leaders here in the early portion of this race. This has been an exciting one for the fans.
Yeah, just the 98 there of Tristan Maher not throwing away his shot as he throws the car there and really shoots the gap between the wall and the 70, somehow comes out of it with not only a clean race car, but the lead as well, unless there's maybe a slight bit of fender damage, but nothing too crazy here as they go down into this really, really tight final corner before they head off down the back straightaway and the final chicane there by Champions Wall.
Yeah, you see that number 98 machine really now starting to stretch his legs up to about a 1 second race lead over the number 70 of Chris Darling. We'll let live timing and scoring update this time, but Darling really good on the brakes there into the final corners. I really was able to close up before Maher got the power down a little bit sooner. But look at the number 17 of Ben Izenga. We think that he might be in the best position in the field when it comes to fuel. We know that the 41 of Lucarelli, we know he's in his window, but what about Ben Izenga? What about everyone else? Izenga might have just come down pit road, Bob, to just be able to get that little bit more fuel that he knows that he doesn't have to save fuel relative to some of these other people, and he's looking to the inside of Philip Scott here. This is a battle for fourth as they're tight through, again, one of the tightest portions of the racetrack.
Wow, just fantastic driving there by the 17 and the 99 to stay off of each other. And really right now it's looking like this 17 machine is one of the fastest cars. Oh, as the 99 locks him up, the 17 almost followed him. Oh, there's the 77 there as well. I cannot believe they didn't make any contact there, but just a matter of the 99 getting a little bit tight coming through that corner, locking him up. 17 almost following him, if you will, as we get a check on the replay here.
You see him locking up those tires, just trying to get that thing pointed in the right direction, and it just carries off the racetrack, and that is definitely not what Philip Scott wanted to happen there. And Dave Harvey almost squeaking through around the outside. Wouldn't have that been something? But there is Philip Scott. He's now actually fallen back behind the number 97 machine of Mike Floppy Tellier in his inTOXIKated Gaming number 97. And how about Mike Floppy Tellier? Really didn't have a great first portion of the race before that yellow flag, but he's now got himself up into the 6th position. That's 12 positions gained. Did not put in a qualifying time, and really wanting to do well here in the race, sponsored by inTOXIKated Gaming tonight.
Yeah, really Mike's hometown track as far as the sponsor is concerned here. I'm a little surprised because we did see him out there in the qualifying session. He just must not have gotten a legal lap time, for lack of a better phrase, and had to start in the back. And good to see him just kind of chipping away at spots. Right now up to 6th place, putting on a pretty good show here for the home country fans.
James Lorello right there now under fire from Ben Izenga. We saw Lorello really tight behind the number 70 of Chris Darling. Not sure if something happened there going through the first set of corners, but Izenga really getting to the back bumper of the number 13 of Lorello. We saw this battle probably now about 20 laps ago, Bob, in what was a battle for the race lead. It was about 15 laps ago. My math is a little bit off. But that was a battle for the race lead then. Now it's a battle for the 3rd position as Tristan Maher has checked out at the front of the field up to about a 3.5 second lead. Here comes the number 17 of Izenga to the outside of Lorello. He's going to get a good run. What about the number 77 of Harvey? Is Harvey going to have a look to the inside here into the hairpin? He does. Harvey trying to get up into 3rd. Oh, almost contact between the two. The 17 runs wide. They're still beating and banging off one another as they head down to the long straightaway.
Wow, I cannot believe there was no contact there. That was so incredibly tight. Wow, and a great job by the 17 to come out of that ahead of the two drivers here.
Yeah, Harvey there trying to track down the number 17, and those two have really been putting on a show up at the front. I was a little bit surprised. At the end of that green flag run, I think Harvey was actually tracking down at that point both Izenga and Lorello. So I'm really curious to know what Harvey can do. He's had his troubles in the race. You can see the damage on that Hisense Toyota Supra, but he was really clicking off some good laps right there as when we closed in on lap number 10. So perhaps he's one of those drivers that might be a little bit better at saving tires as he struggles to get those tires underneath and coming out of turn number 2, now into the turn number 3 and 4 complex. Working his way down in through these S's. There's a lot of corners as Mike Floppy Tellier has a little bit of a moment right there at the back of the screen, having a big wiggle coming out of turn number 4.
And yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers, especially coming out of turn 4, where it must be just a little bit more deceptive to say, okay, I can get on the gas a little bit sooner here, but they just get a little too heavy onto the gas, kick that back end around, and one of my questions for the end of the race is going to be how hard was it to not only save fuel but save tires while you're battling here. Oh, the 97 gets off course, allowing the 99 to get around him, and that was another big moment there. I'm sure there's going to be another question like that is, how did you manage, trying to have a moment out there on the racetrack compared to saving tires, saving fuel, and all that sort of thing?
Oh, I think we just saw the number 13 of Lorello have a moment as we focused on the number 4 of Andrew Himmelman. He was able to get back in the session, but he is currently being scored 1 lap down. Here's Lorello coming into the hairpin, just overshoots it a little bit too much, goes way wide, and gets back on the racetrack. Now, something must have happened to Ben Izenga as well in the number 17 machine, because he's lost the spot to the number 77 of Dave Harvey. Let's figure out what happened to that NOS Energy Drink number 17 machine. This is a couple of corners back. You see the bright 77 of Harvey there behind him, and Izenga goes off the racetrack. He goes off into the kitty litter, and that's not what you want to do. You don't want to make any sandcastles in your race car, because it doesn't bode well. You'll lose a ton of time. You might build a cool sandcastle and all that stuff, but for right now, Ben Izenga, whoa, he has a big moment there coming out of turn number 4. Izenga, big wiggle, and now he's going to fall into the clutches of the number 99 of Philip Scott, who's back into the top 5. We have seen some absolute yo-yoing going on tonight.
For sure, and I know the 38 of Vincent Valvano has a moment here as well. And now just some action heating up all over the track. This time the 38 all by himself coming through turn number 3, I believe that was. Just getting a little sideways coming into the wall as the 22 of Kegman able to squeak around him. But up here at the front, Tristan Maher, a 6.3 second lead. And I believe that's the 7 of Garrett Gleaston. He's next to set 1 lap down.
So here's an interesting thought, Bob. I know we had a couple of drivers there pit before the caution flag. And those drivers, of course, being the 99 of Philip Scott, the number 70 of Chris Darling. We know already that a couple of these drivers are short on fuel. They must be well short on fuel, because they pitted about 3 laps before everyone else in the field. So that's not going to bode well for Chris Darling and the number 99 of Philip Scott, because they might have to make 2 more pit stops towards the end of the race, and maybe the rest of the field does not. So we'll keep an eye on that. It has been 13 laps since Chris Darling was last on pit road, so you kind of expect him to maybe go a couple more laps, maybe 2 or 3 more laps before he absolutely has to come down and add on fuel. But speaking of Chris Darling, there he is right in front of the number 17 of Ben Izenga, working their way through turn number 3 and 4. This will be a battle for the 3rd position. So even with Izenga having his troubles, he's still running right there, trying to pick up 3rd position right here.
Yeah, and that's one thing, he hasn't been saving as much fuel as he's been, staying fairly constant. Started 2nd after the green flag, after the first stage, only drops down to 3rd place, and he's really been battling almost this entire stage. So, it's going to be interesting to see how much fuel he has left in that tank, because it really, to me, seems like he hasn't been saving all that much.
And what about Tristan Maher, currently up at the front of the field? Do you think this is kind of a rabbit in the hare type race, where maybe he's up front trying to, or tortoise in the hare, I should say, rabbit in the hare. That's the same thing, isn't it? Tortoise in the hare. Is he out there being, Garrett Gleason there off the pace in the number 7 Camping World machine? Is Tristan Maher up there being the hare, using up as much fuel as he can to try and get as big of a lead so he can come down pit road, get on fresh tires, and still, finish well? David Harvey now up into 2nd in the Hisense Toyota Supra. He's trying to run down Tristan Maher. We'll keep an eye on lap times, folks. In fact, we'll put them up at the top of the screen. Last stop by Tristan Maher, a 146.9. As Ben Izenga, Chris Darling, looks like Izenga able to make the pass on the 70 machine, but here comes Darling trying to get him back. Whoa, that's the 70 machine off the racetrack. That's not good. And now here comes the number 99. He just got on the loud pedal a little bit too soon. And that, just like that, Darling goes from 3rd back to 5th. in just a handful of corners.
Man, I was about to say, what a great crossover move there as the 70 was looking to the inside, but got a little too gas happy, got the back end to slide around, and had to collect himself before running into that wall.
Yeah, well, we'll see exactly what happened here. Going off into turn number 1, Izenga just pulls out to the left, gets the preferred line into turn number 1, and now on board with the number 70 machine. Watch this, gets on the loud pedal, and you can just hear those rear tires spin just a little bit. Good job not to get turned into the inside wall. We've seen that out of a couple of drivers here tonight, but Chris Darling now falling into the clutches of Bill Edwards. You see the 4 there of Himmelman being scored 1 lap down. He really is hoping to see one of those caution flags here tonight, Bob. I know they're going to be far and few between, but he would be in the lucky dog position if the caution flag was to drop right now.
Yeah, for sure. One of the Max Graphics lucky dog drivers right now. Steve Rada, the only one who's received the lucky dog in this race, who has unfortunately taken it behind the wall and I believe has left the session. But it would be a great opportunity there for the 4, especially because he had those connection issues, lost a lap, and now he's just kind of mired back in right around 13th place.
Also getting reports that the number 20 of Jason Freeman has taken his car behind the wall as well to join Steve Rada. Jason Shu in the number 40 also out of this race. We only had 17 starters here tonight, and definitely going to be one of the racetracks that, probably not the entire field owned this racetrack. They can use a provisional if they wanted to, just so they don't have to buy the racetrack. But right now, David Harvey in the number 77 machine, he's, quite a ways behind the race leader. In fact, you can't even see the number 98 of Tristan Maher. But last time by, Harvey was almost a full second faster than your current race leader. You can see those lap times down there at the bottom of the screen. It was up about 7.7 seconds. Now it's down to about 6.7 seconds. And Bob, like I mentioned, Harvey was really closing in on the leaders at the end of that first green flag run, trying to do the same here. Now almost to 6 seconds behind the number 98.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if you're right there with the tortoise and the hare strategy, where maybe he could even be pushing it to try to get the other cars to try to push it as well to keep up with him and try to, waste as much gas as possible, because we still have at least 2 more rounds of pit stops to go here for these cars. And 21 laps, that is a lot of laps to run out there on a tank of gas. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the strategy plays out as this race moves along.
Chris Darling in the number 70 machine. Will we see him peel off the racetrack here to go down pit road? No, maybe. I don't know. I think he thought about taking the corner, and he said, "You know what? I think better of that. I'm going to come down pit road." But this is with 20 laps to go, Bob. And looking at the number of laps it has been since he was last on pit road, he came on pit road 16 laps ago. So we know this number 70 has to come down pit road, and that is even with caution laps. And is he? Yeah, I think he's finally going to go into the pit box. I was a bit concerned there. He might have missed his pit stall. So we know Darling has to make one more pit stop. What about Tristan Maher, Dave Harvey, Ben Izenga? Will they have to make one more pit stop, or can they, or will they have to make 2 from this moment in time?
I think the biggest question mark out of that group is going to be Ben Izenga, because don't forget, he went down pit road as the field got the 1 to go. So I would be really interested to see if that extra quick splash of fuel is going to be the difference here between having to make 1 stop versus 2. Looks like under green flag conditions, the drivers can probably do, I'd say, maybe 12, 13, 14 laps, maybe. So it's going to be interesting as this race winds down, when they're going to have to pit, and how much fuel they're going to take, and are they going to be willing to take tires as well as the fuel to try to get them to the end.
Yeah, you can see up there laps since they last pitted, and pretty much all your race leaders pitted what will be 14 laps this time by, but Izenga pitted 2 laps later than those other cars around him. So that could be the difference here, as we now just have 19 laps to go. We've gotten into the second half of the race here, Bob. Tristan Maher, your race leader at the halfway distance. David Harvey has lost a little bit of time, in fact, about 1.5 seconds to Tristan Maher. So Maher has picked up the pace here just a little bit. Philip Scott in the number 99 machine. He is. He did not have a good lap that last time by. Same thing with Ben Izenga in the number 17 machine. They were in the 149 second bracket. You compare that to Tristan Maher. Dave Harvey running a 146.5 and a 147.9. So Izenga and Scott a little bit off the pace. Bill Edwards a lot off the pace, a 153.3 last time by. James Orello in the number 13 also struggling with a 152. Chris Darling, of course, he just came off pit road, so that's the reason for his lap time being well off the pace. But definitely a lot of different types of lap times out there right now. But Tristan Maher, fastest on the racetrack last time by, and doing a fantastic job. Didn't have that speed in qualifying, but he's run wide as I speak his praises. Commentator's curse strikes again here on 3Y TV.
Yet again, the commentator's curse. Hopefully, knock on wood here. That was the last time we have the commentator's curse for this race. But, you know, Tristan Maher having a great run. It's been 14 laps since he's been out there on pit road. I would have to admit he's thinking about coming down pit road anytime fairly soon. Looks like this lap won't be the lap as he takes the chicane. He's heading down the front straightaway now.
Yeah, we saw Chris Darling do 16 laps. Tristan Maher right now just turned his 15th lap, so he might be on pit road this time. Ben Izenga has been out there for 13. If he can go 3 more laps, he will be in his window as your race leader, the number 98, Tristan Maher. Again, we're singing his praises. He has a big moment coming out of turn number 2. David Harvey, last time by, a 1 minute 50. So he had his own problems out there. Ben Izenga, a 149. Philip Scott ran a 2 minute 2. Oh, Philip Scott's on pit road. That's the reason why. Remember, Philip Scott pitted at the same time as Chris Darling. So Philip Scott had been out there for 18 laps, Bob. That's impressive. He got a lot of yellow laps to help with that number. He's going to need more yellows to make it to the end from here, that is for sure.
For sure, at least one more yellow and he'll be able to make it all the way. But, oh man, as we say that again, the 98 of Tristan Maher, Philip Scott's teammate, goes off course and goes on a little excursion there. I would have to admit he's saying, all right, it's time for me to come down pit road, get me some fresh tires, fill it up. Only one more stint to go till the end of this race. And, you know, so far a pretty decent race there out of that 98 machine.
Yeah, so for all of you Philip Scott fans back at home, he has now dropped down to the 8th position after making that pit stop. So still inside the top 10. Stephen Kegman right there, running right in front of your reigning Thornton Graphix Cup Series champion, Jason Gracias. And it looks like Kegman here going to pull over to the right-hand side of the racetrack to let Jason Gracias on by. So not sure what strategy Kegman is on there, but saying, all right, Jason, go on by. We'll see if I can run you down here in a little bit. Maybe he's thinking about saving some fuel in that South Point Hotel and Casino Chevy Camaro. But up at the front, race leader Tristan Maher on pit road, coming down to his pit box right now. We thought he might be the hare in the tortoise and the hare, and definitely the first one of your front runners to head onto pit road. You see right side tires going on that number 98.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to put up about a 9-second gap at one point, and you know, I'm really interested to see how that is going to correlate to this next run here. Is he going to be able to pick up and keep that 9-second lead over the 77 of Harvey? That yet remains to be seen here, as Harvey's still out there on the racetrack.
So Dave Harvey in that number 77 machine. It has been exactly 16.3. Yes, we go down to the decimal point. 16.3 laps since he was last on pit road. So will he be down this time with 17 laps to go? And remember, he got caution laps to help there, Bob. So if he pits this time, it will be 17 laps since he last pitted. But it'll be 16 laps to go. And we had those cautions. It's going to be really tight if he comes down pit road this time. If he can go one more, if he can go to next lap, then we think we would definitely feel better about the number 77 making it to the end on fuel. But Ben Izenga, this is starting to look good for him, because if he can go one more lap, which I believe he will be able to here, we think he will be in that window where he can go the distance to the end of the race. So we'll see if that number 77 heads down pit road.
Yeah, I really do think if the 77 were to pit right now, and that's exactly what he's doing, this race could very well fall into the hands of the 17 of Ben Izenga as he stays out on pit road, or stays out on the racetrack rather, with that extra little bit of fuel at the end of the caution flag. Gosh, who knows? I mean, come down pit road and get some extra fuel now. That'll be one stop, and he'll be good to go to the end of this race. And maybe some of these drivers who had pitted, or even some of the drivers who had pitted earlier, might come up a lap or two short. So this is really going to be interesting as the laps wind down.
So Edwards in the number 50, he's going to go around for another lap. There's David Harvey still on pit road, waiting to get his tires. There's Tristan Maher in the number 98. He's out there on fresh tires trying to turn in some fast laps to just pad that difference to the number 17 of Ben Izenga, because we know Izenga will be on that different strategy. Really, the number 98 here has to go for broke. Izenga, there he is. Will he pit this lap? He pitted 2 laps after the number 77 of David Harvey, but you know the rule, Bob, that 1 lap under caution is about a half a lap of fuel under green. So we would think that Izenga, even though he pitted 2 laps after the 77, those were 2 caution laps. So we think that would lead to about 1 green flag lap. So Izenga might be running on fumes here, but has he been saving fuel? Does he have enough fuel to go 1 more lap? Because, 15 laps to go would be the number this time by when he goes past the start-finish line. If he can make it to 14 to go, there will be no question in that S2R Toyota Supra as he blasts down the long backstretch. Is he headed to pit road? We will see. There's the white line. Will he go straight? Yes, he will. Izenga coming in to pit road right now for what might be his final pit stop with 15 laps to go.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be the money stop. Who is that behind him? Oh, that's the 4 of Andrew Himmelman heading down pit road as well. But yeah, this definitely could be the money stop here, as he's going to have to get as much fuel in that car as absolutely possible. And, this is going to be tight here, as Tristan Maher is going to inherit the lead as he heads off into turn number 1.
But did you see how close Tristan Maher was to that number 17 of Izenga? Maher, if he can really push here in that number 98 machine, he can almost overcome that pit road time, because Maher has been out there on those fresh tires putting in very, very, very fast laps on the fresh rubber. Now, what if I was Tristan Maher, what I would do, folks, and this is someone speaking from experience with a lot of road course experiences, that's not what I would do, folks. I would not go off the racetrack. That's a bad idea. You want to stay between the white lines. I'd also not spin my rear tires like that. It's easier said than done, folks. That's commentators. We can just spew stuff. But what I want to say is, with the way fresh tire, and he's off track again. Gosh, we should stop focusing on Tristan Maher here. Is I would pit early. We see that the tire difference is about 3-4 seconds, something like that. You and I know, Bob, that's 3 laps with a pit stop. We know that Maher has to come down to get more fuel. He can't make it to the end. He currently has about 3 laps since he was last on pit road. You can see that up at the top of the screen. If he pits with about 8 laps to go, he'll get enough fuel to go to the end of the race, but he'll get fresh tires. He'll be 3 to 4 seconds faster than Izenga at that point and can try and make up that difference. Now, we'll really see here what the difference is. Right now, Ben Izenga is being scored 16.8 seconds behind Tristan Maher by my live timing and scoring. You can see it up there, 16.7 right there. The pit road time is about 43 seconds. So that's really what we're going to be talking about. He's going to need really like a 43-second lead to make up for that difference, because that is the pit lane time. 43 seconds would actually be more than enough to cover it, because you're not fully stopped. You probably need about a 30-second lead. So we'll keep an eye on that lead. when Tristan Maher elects to come down and make his final pit stop. Of course, that will be over Ben Izenga. We don't believe David Harvey, there he is in the number 77. We don't think he can make it to the end on fuel. But Ben Izenga, he's the question mark. Can he go 15 laps on fuel to make it to the end here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in the inTOXIKated Gaming 120? And speaking of inTOXIKated Gaming, let's check out where Mike Floppy Tellier is. There he is, running right in front of Jason Gracias. And we know that Tellier has to come down and make a final pit stop as well. He pitted way too early to make it to the end on fuel, so I'm sure he falls into that category, Bob, of probably wanting to pit maybe a little bit early to get fresher tires sooner rather than later.
For sure, and my question now is, if we do happen to see a caution, would it benefit some of these drivers up front, or would it really hurt them in the long run, saying, you know what, I had all this strategy, now I just have to throw it all out the window and just kind of battle it out on talent alone? And I'm really going to be intrigued on, how that is going to affect these drivers if it were to come down to it. But right now, the battle, I think, is going to be between that 98 of Maher and Ben Izenga to see, where they are, as though the 13 of James Lorello has a bit of an excursion there.
Well, you know what? I take everything back that I have said. As you see Lorello and Darling, I'll explain why I take back everything I've said here in just a brief moment as Lorello and Darling go toe-to-toe here into the final corner. This is a good battle for position. As you can see, this is for 6th as they run right now. Still side-by-side. Oh, the 70 there getting slideways, getting up to speed. It's really difficult to get these cars sideways at that point of the racetrack when you're already going about 100 miles an hour. In fact, the speed of these things, 170 miles an hour before they get onto the brakes into the final chicane. But that battle seems to have sorted out, at least for now, as Jason Grossi is starting to come into the picture as well, right up there in 8th. But Bob, I've been caught. I've been caught by the fact that they only had 2 sets of tires on pit road. So we saw them use their first set of tires under that first caution flag, and then we saw them put on the second set of tires. So really, Tristan Maher can't short pit now. He can't come down and take on tires earlier because he's out of sets. He has no fresh tires to put on that car. So really, if Izenga in the number 17 can run him down and stay clean, same thing with David Harvey. If Harvey can stretch to make it, he has 1 lap older tires and 1 lap less fuel than the number 17 of Izenga. If those drivers can make it and Maher can't, it's either Harvey or Izenga's race to lose. Although, speaking of that battle, there they are on the racetrack together. Harvey getting way up into the air on 2 wheels coming out of that final corner.
Yeah, and that really is going to be the battle right here. If the 98 is not able to to get everything taken care of, the 17 rather looks to the inside of the 77. The 77 now has a bit of the advantage coming out of turn number 2. And oh man, what a great look here! Here's Izenga looking to the inside yet again.
Izenga on the inside as they work their way into turn number 3, but Harvey covers around the outside, working their way through some of the twistiest, tightest portions of the racetrack. Izenga looking out to the inside through this corner. Harvey throwing up sparks on the left-hand side of his car, but this is a left-hand corner. That will give Harvey the advantage here as they continue to do battle. And I'm just wondering here, is Harvey thinking about saving fuel and Izenga pushing it here? Is that the reason why Harvey allowed Izenga to catch him? But they're side by side. Izenga with a preferred position off into the next corner. He's on the right-hand side of the racetrack, and he will scoot on through past David Harvey. Move Harvey back to 3rd. Izenga now up to 2nd. And with Izenga's position on fuel and Maher's bad position on fuel, Izenga's now in a really good position here, Bob.
Yeah, I feel like Izenga right now is in the catbird seat, really, where he's the guy who's chasing after the 98 of Maher, but honestly could be in the best position to get the win and be the first driver of the season to get 2 wins on the season, and he'll be going back to back as we look further back in the pack here now. The 70 of Chris Darling up to 7th.
Yeah, Chris Darling right in front of Jason Gracias there in 8th. Meanwhile, in front of them, the number 13 and the number 99 are battling for position. Lorello in that number 13 machine, he pitted 2.5 laps ago. he's in a really good position. He pitted later than Ben Izenga did. So Lorello here on a charge, fresher tires on that S2R machine. He might have locked him up a little bit there going into the hairpin. But he should be able to pull away from Philip Scott. We know Philip Scott, he's actually come down pit road for what will presumably be his final pit stop in the number 99. So we know Lorello should make it to the end. We know Philip Scott should make it to the end from here. And perhaps they're thinking that if there might be a yellow, Bob, it's better to pit earlier rather than later. And Lorello, oh man, that is really overshooting that final chicane. He will have to give up that time gained, and that might just give that spot back to Philip Scott. At least doesn't look like it will for now as they head off into turn number 1.
Yeah, as Philip Scott now taking a look on the 13 of Lorello here. What a great camera shot here off the back bumpers. Oh, a little bit of contact between the 99 and the 13 of Lorello. Lorello able to keep the position coming out of turn number 2.
Yeah, and Ryder Leangle asking what happened to Philip Scott. He was making moves, and then he said, I think he can make it back up. Well, the reason was Scott made his final pit stop. We know he's good to go to the end from here. He wasn't earlier, so some different strategy calls up as it looks like the number 13 Lorello might have locked up the front tires just a little bit. Scott all over the back bumper. This is a good battle here for the top 5 between these two. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, you're not missing anything. Izenga continuing to close in on Tristan Mayer, now down to 9.7 seconds. Harvey now about 1.6 seconds behind the number 17 machine. This is the best battle on the racetrack, although Jason Gracias in the number 1 has got around Chris Darling, but that appears to be short-lived because Chris Darling just goes roaring on back.
Yeah, it looks like the 1 might have had a bit of a slowdown penalty there as he may have cut the course in that earlier, I guess, chicane in the stadium area, for lack of a better phrase. So the 70 was able to get around him. But looking at this battle here between Philip Scott, James Lorello, some really tight racing here, albeit some 50-some-odd seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, you mentioned it, about 55 seconds behind the race leader of Tristan Mayer right now, as you get a good look out back at the number 99 Philip Scott going curb hopping. We do have just 10 laps to go here at Montreal, working their way now off into turn number 1. This battle for the top 5 raging on, but up at the front, whoa man, Lorello once again locking up the brakes. Not the first time we've seen that happen here tonight, but up at the front, Tristan Mayer really being caught. Race lead now just down to 7.5 seconds, but Harvey has actually closed in on Izenga just a little bit. We'll check in on that battle. There they are, working their way into the hairpin. That just shows how big of a lead these cars have over the battle for 5th position right now. But if Harvey can make it to the end, this would be a good battle for position as well. We're just unsure whether or not that 77 can make it.
Yeah, and I'm also a little bit concerned about that 17 of Izenga as well. I know he's got a couple extra laps on pit road here, but I'm really interested to see if these top 3 guys are how close they're going to be as we head back here at this battle between the 13 and 99. And, Philip Scott, for spinning out earlier on in the race, has been able to slowly pick up positions and really has been quite consistent as these laps wind down.
Yeah, and look at, oh man, Philip Scott right there getting right up on the back bumper of the number 13 to Lorello. These drivers really been pushing one another here over these last couple of laps or so. And does Philip Scott finally have a run? He might here, drafting out the back of that number 13. You can definitely get a draft here down this long straightaway. He's going to duck to the inside. No. Oh, yes, he is. No, he isn't going to duck back inside. Just not quite able to get on the binders late enough to make that move. But Lorello going to try holding him off. Just 9 laps to go. And this is the battle for the top 5, folks.
Yeah, and this is one of those moments where if I'm James Lorello, I do not want to be staring in my mirror this entire time. So the 77 of Dave Harvey has a moment. He gets sent around, and here comes the rest of the field. Oh, a tight spot as the 50 of Bill Edwards and the 4 of Andrew Himmelman able to split the defense. Man, wonder what happened there with the 77. Let's take a look here on the replay.
Yeah, we're dialing up that replay. Just coming out of the corner, gets on the rumble strips and lights up the rear tires and makes contact with the inside wall of the track at that point. Bill Edwards, though, coming around this corner right behind the number 4 of Andrew Himmelman, and they have to scatter, and that will actually put the number 50 of Edwards up into third and on the podium here.
Yeah, and just taking a look in the chat there, Ryder Leangle saying that could have gone way worse than it did, and absolutely. I mean, I had an issue like that the other night in the rookies Mazda Miata MX-5 Cup, and it definitely did not go nearly as clean as we saw it there on the racetrack right now.
Meanwhile, speaking of clean, we're continuing to see clean racing between these two, the 13 and the 99. They've actually gapped Chris Darling and Jason Gracias, who are locked in their own battle. There you see the number 1 of Gracias late on the brakes, really closing in on the number 70 of Darling, almost giving him a little bit of a love tap going off into the final chicane. Final hairpin, excuse me. But this is over a minute behind your race lead, where we're starting to see Tristan Mayer lose a ton of time to Ben Izenga. Izenga's coming here, Bob. He's now down to just 3 seconds behind the number 98.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a matter of Izinga just being much faster there than the 98, or if the 98's about to come up upon lap traffic. He's right on the tail of Tony Lucarelli, as well as Vincent Valvano. Well, maybe not so much at Valvano, but definitely Lucarelli coming up just out of your camera angle right there. I mean, maybe that could be it, but Izinga definitely killing this giant lead that Mayer was able to put up.
Yep, and you can see the lap time last time by, folks. Ben Izenga was over 2 seconds faster than the number 98 machine. We'll see what it is this time at the stripe, as it will be just 7 more laps to go. We're expecting to see the number 98 of Tristan Mayer come down pit road at some point, but he's holding out for dear life in that Ford Mustang. And like you said, Tony Lucarelli there, Bob, on the verge of falling 1 lap down, which is a big shame for Lucarelli. He was on that alternate strategy. We know he should be good to the end of the race on just 1 more pit stop, but doesn't look like it will help him all too much, as he's 20 seconds right now behind the number 38 of Vincent Valvano, who is in front of him. Of course, it could work out to his favor if Valvano and Kegman, who are running 10th and 11th, have to pit. And he doesn't, but I think he's too far back of drivers like Tellier, Gracias, and Darling, and even Philip Scott, who have definitely made their final pit stops to get any more advantage. So we'll find out exactly how it all sorts out for Tony Lucarelli when the checkered flag falls, but definitely doesn't seem to be working out the way he had hoped. As you can see, the race lead now down to just 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's a shame, because during the green or the stage break, we're saying that it was a very smart move, and the 17 of Izinga also had that same strategy, but the 41 of Lucarelli pitted a couple laps after the green flag flew, and that's what kind of mired him back here in the pack, but still 12th, about to go 1 lap down now, but still having a pretty decent run out there.
And this is the battle right now for the 7th position. In fact, it's a 3-car battle between the 1, the 70, and the number 97. And we think that Mike Floppy Tellier is possibly on the border of making it to the end of the race on fuel. We know Jason Gracias in the number 1 machine. He is more likely to make it to the end of the race on the fuel. Same thing with Chris Darling. Both of these drivers pitted about 8 laps ago with 15 to go. Same, actually, as your race leader, Ben Izenga. So the 1 and the 70, this is definitely a battle for position. The number 97, a little bit of a question mark whether or not he can make it on fuel. But as of right now, Gracias, Darling, and that number 97 back there are battling it out for 7th. But Gracias just took that position. Meanwhile, up in front of them, quite a few seconds, there's the number 13 Olorello, still holding on to the 5th position, still holding off Philip Scott.
I feel like we've been watching this battle for the last 10 or so laps, and just fantastic racing between these two. Very clean racing. Some portions the 99 has a better car, some portions the 13 has the better car. This section right here in particular, coming into the final chicane down the front straightaway, I feel like the 99 has a little bit of an advantage, but the 13 really holding strong. I mean, look at this run here the 99 has as they're heading off down the front straightaway in towards turn 1. We've seen it a few laps ago where the 99 was able to pick up a lot of time through this first and second corner complex here as we look at the 17 of Izinga, was that the 98 that had gotten off course?
It was the number 98 of Tristan Maher going off the racetrack, and right there is the second place, number 17 of Ben Izinga. This is the battle for the race lead right here, folks, with coming to 5 laps to go. We think the number 98 is going to run out of fuel, and we think he's going to have to come down pit road to top it off, but that was a big moment for Tristan Maher going off the racetrack, doing a little bit of off-track excursion. It's not a rally car. It's not a stadium super truck. That's not where you want to be. Maher, will he come down pit road this time? Will he stay out? He's on the brakes. He's going to go through the final chicane. 5 laps to go this time, and it's a half of a second for the race lead.
Man, the big question mark now is, can the 98 hold off the 17? Can he save enough fuel to make it to the end of this race? And right now, the 17 of Izinga is just a faster car as he gets right up on the bumper of the 98 of Tristan Maher.
And I love that look out back. You can just see how these drivers kind of come together in the corner as they slow down, and then you can really see who's getting the better launch up off the corner. Izinga, they're getting a little bit too much curb. You saw the number 98 just get on the power a little bit early. Maher might have scraped the wall there, and here comes battle for the race lead. Here comes the 17 of Izinga. Maher going to do the over-under, but it might be a little bit too late. New race leader, the number 17 of Ben Izinga.
What a huge move there by Izinga, able to take a look to the inside of the 98, send the 98 just a little bit wide. 98 kind of tried to cut back, couldn't do so, and now Ben Izinga has the lead as they head off through the chicane before the final hairpin turn to go down the back straightaway.
Let's see that one here on replay. We'll get another look of it. Izinga here working his way through this corner, just kind of washes out to the left side of the racetrack. You can see that back end really squiggling. He was as late as you could be on the brakes. What a pass there by the Canadian driver trying to win on home soil. And you can already see starting to pull away from that number 98 Mustang. When will Maher come down pit road? Will he come down pit road? Does he think he has enough fuel to make it to the checkered flag? Well, we'll have to find out. On the brakes again. Is he going to come down pit road? No, he's going to go another lap. 4 laps to go this time. Meanwhile, back behind them, Lorello still holding on to the 5th position. This battle not going anywhere. Gracias just scooted out to about a 2.5 second advantage over Chris Darling. Mike Tellier in the number 97 machine, another Canadian driver. He must have had a moment. About a lap or so ago, Mike Floppy Tellier had a 2-minute lap time. As the 99, Philip Scott opens up the door. They're going to be side by side. Now Philip Scott has a good advantage here, Bob. Does he have that straightaway advantage that we talked about? We'll find out right here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great battle as they head down into the final chicane here. The 99 of the Philip Scott on the left-hand side of your screen, taking a look to the inside of Lorello. Lorello has the advantage as they head into the chicane, but coming into turn number 1, Philip Scott right there, and he's been a little bit better in that first turn complex these last few times by.
Now will Philip Scott get on the binders a little bit late? No, he's going to stay in behind the number 13 of Lorello as they continue to work their way here around the racetrack. Folks, we're going to keep an eye on this battle here, but we're going to see if we can figure out what happened to the Canadian driver, the inTOXIKated Gaming number 97, the sponsor of tonight's race, and see what all went down to... he must have had some type of a moment, and we'll see if we can figure that one out. And I think we have here working his way through a very tricky portion of the racetrack, just cooked it a little bit too much and was right there behind Chris Darling and had a half spin. And oh man, packs the back end. That car a little bit shorter than it was a little while ago. Meanwhile, Philip Scott, here he comes trying to get back by Lorello. So Lorello in that number, well, I guess he didn't get by the number 13 of Lorello. He almost got by the number 13 of Lorello, but this battle continues to rage on. 4 laps to go.
Just a fantastic battle between two great drivers, really keeping it clean as well. Really not a whole lot of beating and banging between the two drivers, really keeping it respectful. And right now the 99 takes a look to the inside of Lorello. Lorello gets a little squirrely there coming out of the final hairpin turn. But let's see if that's going to give the advantage here to the 99.
It looked like the 99 there, Scott had to check up not to get into Lorello, and they just elected to say, you know what? I'll just check up. Let's not make contact. We'll fight to live another lap. 3 laps to go this time. Izenga now up to a 4-second lead. Tristan Maher has yet to come down pit road, so we know he's more than likely in fuel conservation mode. Lorello in that number 13 going across the stripe here. He's about 18 seconds behind David Harvey. Harvey himself about 15 seconds behind the number 50 of Bill Edwards, who's put on a great show in the number 50. I know he had a little hiccup earlier in the race, but all things considered, the number 50 of Edwards here put in some darn good lap times, trying to close in on Tristan Maher, especially if Maher has to come down pit road, which we possibly might see Edwards end up with a second place podium here in just a little bit.
Yeah, that very well could be. Tristan Maher, the big question mark is to whether or not he can make it here on the end. 3 laps to go. I'm sure he's conserving as much as possible, because if I'm Tristan Maher here, I'm 6.5 seconds now behind the leader. I'd try to see, maybe I can conserve and try to save the second place finish, because if I pit, like you had mentioned, it's about a 30-second or so penalty, for lack of a better phrase, to head down pit road, get enough gas in to finish it off. You'll be dropping down to, I'd say, the 4th position, just off the podium, and I'd definitely rather take a second place finish than a 4th place finish any day. As we see here, the 99 taking a look to the inside yet again on the final hairpin of that 13 machine.
Yeah, Lorello still holding on to that position. 2 more laps to go. Ben Izenga's race lead now up to 9 seconds over Tristan Maher. Maher still out there on the racetrack. He must think that he can make it to the end of the race. Philip Scott just showing himself in the rear view mirror of that number 13. Lorello pushes it deep into the final chicane, past the wall of champions. They have 2 laps to go. But in the 99, Scott got a great launch there coming out of the final corner. Is he going to be able to get to the inside of the number 13? No, just not quite. But he's going to be late on the brakes. As Lorello's late on the brakes, he locks up. The 99 locks up. They continue to go toe-to-toe for the 5th position.
Man, some tight door handle to door handle racing here as the 99 takes a look to the right-hand side of the 13 of Lorello. They're side by side heading off into turn number 3, and it looks like Philip Scott has finally gotten around the 13 of Lorello, but here comes Lorello challenging back here.
Lorello trying to do what we saw Ben Izenga do. Now Lorello has the preferred line going into this corner. He's on the left-hand side. Scott runs a little bit wide, but now Scott has the preferred line for the next corner. Lorello's going to have to do a little bit of an over-under here. Get on the loud pedal a little bit early. The 99 has a little bit of a wiggle, but it looks like Philip Scott has cleared the 13 of Lorello here, and that will move Philip up into the 5th position. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Ben Izenga, white flag in the air. Where is the number 98 of Tristan Maher? Is he going to try and go for the final lap? Yes, he is. Trying to save enough fuel and not fall into the clutches of the number 50 of Edwards, as Edwards gets squirrely there coming out of the final corner. Edwards here really closing in on Tristan Maher. This could be the battle for second here brewing, as Izenga now up to a 16-second race lead.
Man, Ben Izenga with just quite a powerful car there, able to grow out to a 16-second lead. But right now, this battle between Edwards and Tristan Maher for the second place position, definitely a lot closer than we all kind of thought it would be earlier on in this race, because we, at least me personally, I thought Maher would, if he was able to keep it and stretch out this last fuel run, maybe he'd have something for Izenga, but right now, Edwards having a great series of laps here, now only about a second or so behind that 98 machine for second place.
Oh, wow, what a big moment out of that number 50 machine. What a catch there by Bill Edwards, but is that going to do it? Will he be able to close in on the back of that number 98? He was definitely doing so, but that sloppy bit of driving just getting out from... Oh, but now the 98 has a moment, and they're going to be side by side. Bill Edwards going to get up into second. Is Maher out of fuel? Maher might be out of fuel. He's trying to get fuel into the pickup of that number 98 Ford Mustang. He is sputtering right now. He might have just run it dry.
Man, half a lap short for Tristan Maher. And that's one of those things where if you gamble, this is something that is going to happen. Here is the 17 of Ben Izenga coming out of the final chicane. Ben Izenga, 2 wins in a row, is going to win here at Montreal in the inTOXIKated Gaming 120.
That number 17 machine, back to back. Here's Bill Edwards coming into the final corner for the final time today. Tristan Maher continuing to bleed. Time as the number 50 is going to pick up a second place finish. Now's the question's going to be who's going to finish third. Oh my goodness, David Harvey's got around the number 98 of Maher. He's continued to be slow. Here comes Philip Scott for fourth position. Scott's just going to blow by around the outside. Harvey coming into the final corner for the final time. Looks like he's going to finish on the podium as well. I'm sure he's not going to be all too happy with the way the back half of the race is shaken out. I'm sure he realizes he could have come home with second, but third place is nothing too shabby for David Harvey. Philip Scott, as you see Lorello hopping over the final chicane. Philip Scott's going to come home in fourth. Lorello in fifth. Where is Tristan Maher? There he is. Going to lose another spot to Jason Gracias. Gracias going to move up to the sixth position. Where's Chris Darling? Darling now coming out of the hairpin. Gonna blow by the number 98, who's just crawling at this point. 9 miles an hour currently being picked up by the GPS reading on that car. Where's Mike Floppy Tellier? There is Tellier. So this will be the last car on the lead lap. And Tellier says, you know what? I'm going to pick up Tristan. I'm going to be a good pal and push him to the start-finish line. I'm sure Tellier's going to get around him, though, Bob. Don't you think?
I would think so, too. If I'm Tristan Maher, I'm going to say, hey, man, you know what? Go around me. Get me to the line, but, let me finish here as Ben Izinga, good guy here, given his fellow Canadian team member, for lack of a better phrase. And, the 97 gets turned there by the 17 and gets at least a little bit of a push here for the 98 to get him across the line. Hopefully it's enough time or enough of a push, rather, for him to get across the line.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is iRacing does time out, so there will come a time where Tellier will not be able to get around the number 98 of Maher, and I think the number Maher said, you know what, I'm just going to I think he thought about blocking that number 97, but that's the pass, folks. That is the most exciting pass of the race. That is the pass for 8th position, as Tellier going to come across the line, and Tristan Maher, they're going to fall down to 9th with a little bit of a love tap from Ben Izinga. But that man right there goes back-to-back here in the Total Nonstop Racing League and picks up the win on his home soil, as Mike Floppy Tellier, another fellow Canadian, gives him a little nudge. Congratulations right there for the number 17 as he burns it down here on the front stretch.
Yeah, just a fantastic race here in Montreal. Great bit of strategy there for both the 17 and the 98. Unfortunately, it didn't work out too well for Maher, but a great bit of strategy there for the 17, coming down pit road right before they go green, giving him just enough fuel to stretch it a little bit more, and 17 of Ben Izinga gets it done here tonight in Montreal.
And remember, these two are actually teammates, so it's a 1-2 for S2R here tonight. I'm sure both of those drivers are going to be very, very happy with the way this race shook out. It definitely didn't look like Bill Edwards would be stepping up onto the podium, but I got to say, stellar drive out of Bill to keep that car between the white lines. I know he's got a little bit of damage on the car, but that's what you got to do. It's an endurance race, isn't it, Bob? You got to minimize those mistakes, and that's what Bill Edwards did there in the final 20-25 laps.
Yeah, and what a great finish there out of Edwards. We'll hear from him soon. Where, I'm really interested to see how he was able to kind of change his driving style, for lack of a better phrase, and kept it clean from the stage break on, and able to get himself a P2 finish.
All right, well, folks, we're going to dial up some of these drivers here in just a little bit, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on 3Y TV for some post-race interviews. All right, folks. My goodness, that was not very good out my mouth, but whatever. It is what it is. Sometimes you say the wrong thing and it comes out wrong. Here we are with Tristan Maher in the number 98 machine. I wanted to get a quick word with him because it almost went so well for Tristan Maher here tonight. Just coming up about half a lap short on fuel. Tristan, tell us what was going through your mind there with the final 10 laps. Did you think you were good on fuel? When did you go into conservation mode? And did you really think you were good on fuel right there up until the end?
Yes, Peter. I mean, I didn't think I was good right until the end, but I went into the pits. I started getting nervous as soon as I realized that I was the only one that went into the pits. That made me a little bit nervous, but as soon as I came out, I kind of did the math in my head, and I was saving the whole time. The whole time I was trying to save enough fuel because I was a whole lap short. I was trying to save enough fuel, and I mean, that's why Ben caught me so fast there in the end, because I was trying my hardest to just keep some fuel in the tank.
What do you think you could have done differently in that number 98 machine to possibly save a little bit more fuel? I know you might have been able to come down pit road one lap later, but do you think there's anything you could have done to save a little bit more?
To be honest, I was saving really hard. I mean, I was probably a couple seconds a lap slower than what Ben Izinga was. I mean, I was never hitting full throttle. I was only 75% throttle, and I was clutching into the corners. At every single corner that I could, I was clutching in. I really don't think I could have saved more. Yeah, if I pit a lap later, I think I had this race in the bag.
Well, yeah, that is, really unfortunate there in that number 98 machine. It was definitely going to be a fun battle between you and the number 17 of Ben Izenga. But, all things considered, Tristan, you didn't have a lot of pace in qualifying. But when it came to the race, you're really shown that you were able to keep it on the road and minimize those mistakes that we saw out of a lot of other people. The only mistake you made was running out of fuel there at the end. But at least from a driving aspect, what can you take from tonight?
One thing I can take from tonight, I mean, you can be as fast as you want in qualifying, but these road races are all about consistency. Consistency is key for these road races. You can run a super fast lap, but if you can't do it, if you're 5 seconds slower, variation between laps, then it's not going to be so good for you. I mean, I blew a couple corners, but I was able to recover good enough. But if you spin out and stuff like that, you're just really digging yourself a hole. Qualifying is good for hot laps, and the race is just all about patience, in my opinion.
Well, you were definitely very good at that. Qualified 8th and worked your way up to the front and really was able to pull away. But hey, we go from here in Montreal, we go down to Gateway right there in St. Louis. What are your thoughts about going to Gateway?
I've never driven there on iRacing, so it's going to be interesting for me. I know I didn't finish under my own power, but this season I'm just happy to finish a dang race.
Well, hopefully you can see the checkered flag next week at Gateway. Before we let you go, Tristan, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, Waffle Motorsports, great team. Mike Tellier, Garrett Gleason for putting this on, and everybody who helps. You guys are fantastic. Love watching your guys' broadcasts.
All right, well, Tristan, could definitely tell a little bit of dejection in your voice there tonight, but good luck again next week, Gateway. Hopefully you can see the checkered flag and maybe finish on the podium.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right, well, folks, that is the number 98 machine of Tristan Maher, and I believe that Mr. Bob Giaquinto has caught up with tonight's second-place finisher, Bill Edwards.
Hey, Bill Edwards, Bob Giaquinto up here in the 3-Wide TV booth. Bill, first of all, congratulations on the second-place finish. Had a couple excursions there in the beginning of the race before the stage break. What kind of led to the bit of that turnaround that we saw here as the laps wound down?
I know I was maintaining pretty good speed. I was trying as hard as I could just kind of take care of my stuff. The first run I went out there and kind of pushed it, and tires just fell off. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to do something a little bit different. So The second run we had an extended yellow there, so and we're all sitting there doing the math, and it was looking like it's gonna be really close on fuel if we pit. So I had to go. I went to the back, went and pit, and I had just barely enough to make it to the end there, so it kind of saved a splash and go.
Just kind of taking a look at the, talking about the splash and go, what was the strategy for this race? We saw a lot of guys trying to save tires, and then all of a sudden fuel kind of became the hot commodity to try to save. How tough was it not only trying to, track down the guy in front of you, but also try to save tires, save fuel as the laps wound down?
I think saving fuel, because about halfway through the second run, I wasn't going to make it. So just saving fuel is kind of that's kind of the mode I went into. And in the process of saving fuel, you save a little bit of tires. So I was kind of gaining speed and past people in the process there. So that kind of helped. I know Ben, I had a little bit of damage, so I was using a little bit more fuel than Ben was. I know he was pushing the whole time and was able to still get around again, at the end. But it is a fun race. It's a great track. I think it's only the second time I ran here, so I'm glad they threw this one on the schedule.
Yeah, that's for sure. And speaking of the schedule, next week going to be in St. Louis for Gateway. Have you raced there before, and what are you thinking about your prospects there for next week?
I've raced there before, not very often. It's not. I've raced in the trucks, I believe. Don't think I've ever raced there in the cars here, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll be a fun track, just like this one. I think if I remember right, it's pretty flat and a little bit of a technical oval. So we'll get it figured out and hopefully have a good finish.
Definitely. Well, Bill, before we let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs there for us.
Yeah, I'm going to say happy birthday to my mom. She's watching. Got to give a shout out to TNR here. These guys do a great job. Thornton Graphix, Dunn, Raceway Park, 3Y TV. Got to give a shout out to my teammates, S2R, Ben, and James Lorello running here with us. We had another S2R guy, Spencer, come in and do some spotting for us today. You guys up in the booth. Can't wait to watch this one.
Awesome. Well, Bill, thank you again. And congrats on the second place finish, and looking forward to seeing you out there at Gateway next week.
Good. We'll see you.
All right. Well, folks, that's going to do it for our second place interview. And let's see if we can dial up the teammate of Bill Edwards, Mr. Ben Izenga. Not a scratch on that number 17 machine. And that is, of course, going to be one of the stories of the night. Ben, a lot of the other cars out there here tonight look like they've been on a short track, but that number 17 machine looking nice and clean and here in victory lane. What an interesting run to the finish. We were all up here in the booth going, you know what? I think Ben made a top strategy move when he pitted there under that last lap of the extended caution. Talk us through that move and the run to the checkered flag tonight.
Yeah, we were coming out of the hairpin, coming to, I guess, what would then be one to go. And I looked at my fuel left, and I was like, I can't really one-stop that, but I probably could if I pitted here. And it just so happened that my teammate Bill was on the same strategy I was, and he ran out on the in lap, and I ran out while I was doing burnouts. So we were that close.
Well, I got to say, your strategy worked out absolutely perfectly, tracking down the number 90 Tristan Maher right there at the end, and, getting out front right there at the end. You didn't quite lead the most laps here tonight, but you led 12. You didn't do exactly what you did last week at Myrtle Beach, but nonetheless, very, very impressive here. Gone back-to-back here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. And next week, we, of course, go to Gateway, which is a very unique racetrack, and you're trying to go for 3 in a row. Tell us about Gateway.
I don't have a whole lot of laps there. I ran there in the truck series at NSRA last season, and I did pretty well there. So I don't know. Hopefully it goes well. I've never run there in these cars, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting one here, folks. Make sure you tune in next week here on 3YDV for that one. But Ben, another good finish here tonight. How important is it to kind of hit your stride here in the middle of the season before making it to the chase at the end of the season?
Important. You need the momentum going into the chase for sure. At least I do. I didn't start out the season great. I wasn't fantastic at Daytona, and then Rockingham went pretty well. But the week after that, I can't remember what track we were at, but I did not do great. Oh, Homestead. I wrecked at Homestead. So that was bad. But started to pick up again. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we let you go, Ben, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on 3 Wide TV?
Yeah, of course. Got to thank all the guys who run this league. They do an awesome job. Got to thank you guys for broadcasting every week. You guys do an awesome job as well. My teammates at S2R, all my guys at USCRL Sim Racing, and all the sponsors who invest in this league. We're really grateful for their belief in our racing.
Absolutely. Well, Ben, congratulations on getting back to victory lane on a road course, very different than the short track we were at last week at Myrtle Beach, and also a lot less cautions, which I'm sure everyone is very happy to see, not only here in the chat, but out there on the racetrack. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Peter. Have a good one.
All right, well, folks, that's going to do it for our post-race interviews. Ben Izenga taking home the win here tonight. And Bob, I think it's time to take it away with tonight's final finishing results.
Definitely. Well, getting the win tonight, obviously the 17 of Ben Izenga, Bill Edwards, his teammates finishing in second. David Harvey had a great run up through the field, finishing in third, and then Philip Scott finally getting the best of James Lorello there in fifth place. Fantastic battle that we saw as the laps were winding down between those two great drivers there. In sixth, Jason Gracias, Chris Darling coming up in seventh, Mike Floppy Tellier of inTOXIKated Gaming in the inTOXIKated Gaming 120. He wound up coming in eighth, Tristan Maher in ninth, last car on the lead lap, and finally Stephen Kegman rounding out the top 10, also winning the Shibby Shack Dash for Cash for this evening.
Finishing in the 11th position, first car one lap down, the number 41 of Tony Lucarelli. Vincent Valvano coming home in 12th. Andrew Himmelman, who had all the pace tonight and started on the pole, unfortunately had connection issues, finishing down there in 13th. Then we had a bunch of cars retire. 14th position goes to Garrett Gleason in the number 7 machine. Jason Freeman finishing 15th. Steve Rada, who had a multitude of problems there in the first half of the race, finishing down there in 16th. Jason Shuey also having problems in the number 40 machine. Not exactly sure what happened to Jason, but he was one of the early retirees. And then we had a couple of cars who did not start, including Brian Rubel in the number 21. Lupe Gonzalez, Chris Stewart, the Canadian, there finishing in 20th. DeMarco Starks and Steven Doziak also did not start here tonight. Tristan Maher led the most laps in the number 98 machine before running out of fuel right there at the very end. Want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of the Total Nonstop Racing League, including tonight's sponsor, inTOXIKated Gaming, but also Dunn Raceway Parks in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. Make sure you check out them if you're into indoor off-road RC racing. I'll tell you what, I recently picked up my prize for winning the Total Nonstop Racing Stadium Super Truck season a couple of seasons ago, and that was an RC car, and I'd love to go race it on Dunn Raceway Park. Unfortunately, I do not live anywhere close to Old Forge, Pennsylvania, but if you do, make sure you go check them out, as well as Thornton Graphix, the series sponsor here of the Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. There's a link in the description, and I'm sure they'd appreciate your business, as well as Max Graphics, a great sponsor and painter of a lot of the race cars that you see out there on the racetrack. They, of course, sponsor the Lucky Dog Award, giving only one away tonight to the number 3 of Steve Rada. But Bob, any final thoughts here before we go off to Gateway next week?
You know, just some fantastic racing there pretty much all over the track tonight. But, you know, I'm really looking forward to Gateway. Gateway is one of those unique racetracks where, you know, it does take a lot of skill to get around the track, especially quickly. It's a bit of a flat track, and I'm really looking forward to seeing these drivers out there on the track next week at Gateway.
Absolutely. Well, folks, that's going to do it here for tonight's inTOXIKated Gaming 120 here from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Big shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles we bring you each and every week here on the channel. And this week here on 3Y TV, we have a lot of racing action for you. On Wednesday night, the American Sim Racing Series season kicks off. The Hacksaw PC's 250 at Daytona. You won't want to miss that, as the oldest iRacing series comes back to life for the 2021 season, all season long, right here on 3Y TV. Thursday night, the National Sim Racing Association Taz Racing Customs Super Speedway Series right here on the channel. at 9 o'clock Eastern, same time as the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. And then on Friday night, actually, excuse me, I take that back, 8:30 Eastern on Thursday night, same time as what you saw here tonight. And then on Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern, see, that's where I was getting confused. The Simbox Truck Series for the National Sim Racing Association kicks off yet another race in their chase for the championship. You won't want to miss that one. But Bob, been a lot of fun here tonight, turning left and right. Only one more road course left here on the Total Nonstop Racing season. But for myself, Peter Short, Bob Giaquinto, have a good night, and we shall see ya.